हो गया बस मैं कोई थोड़ी सी पब्लिक प्राइवेट पॉलिसी बना रहा हूँ एक्चुअली ये है सारे एक्सपर्ट्स होता नहीं आता वी आर नाउ रिमाइंडिंग देम कि जो पहले भी
We start today's program with recitation of a few verses from the Holy Quran. I request Tali Najib.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, Federal Minister for Planning, Development and Reforms, Makhdum Khusro Bakhtyar Sahib, Pakistan. A guest of honor, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, Chairperson, Strategic Policy Planning Cell, Vice Chancellors, members of the faculty, staff, and participants, to welcome you to this extremely important event for Chinese and Pakistani academic community. I must thank you all for your presence here. I'm especially grateful to our chief guest, who agreed to be here with us and grace us with his presence on a very short notice. Yao Ching for cancelling his other engagements and coming here with us to inaugurate this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, for a long time, but they have not expanded their relationship to extend it to people context and civilizational harmony. Academia represents the brain of a nation, understanding. Number two, the whole world is watching Chinese miracle of 1.3 billion people emerge as an economic superpower in such a short period of time. It has been mentioned by BBC News. We too need to learn from their example and experience. And it's our academia that must undertake studies to understand it and then contribute it to our policy planning. Number 3, we know that economic and military supremacy rests on technological leadership today. Analysts in the US were dismissive of Chinese technological challenge for a long time. As late as 2014, Harvard Business Review analysts doubted China's capability to innovate. But China has quickly moved up the value chain, creating world-class industries in every area, from 5G and artificial intelligence to biotechnology and quantum computing. No wonder Huawei has come under sanctions in the US. Academia provides the best learning instrument for technological advancements. Number 4, China is spending 4% of its GDP on education. They're increasing access to higher education while improving their quality. Consequently, mainland China has 40 institutions ranked in the QS World University Rankings 2019, including 6 in the global top 100. In 2017, nearly 490,000 international students were enrolled in mainland Chinese universities. Leading countries sending students to China are South Korea, Thailand, and Pakistan. Pakistan is the 3rd highest contributor of students. United States, India, Russia, Japan, and Indonesia. These are the major contributors. Pakistan has about 28,000 students in China today. In 2017, China gave scholarships to nearly 59,000 foreign students. To attract foreign students, they're increasing the number of English taught courses. And this is extremely important for us because these graduates, when they come back to us, they'll be joining our academia. They will contribute towards people-to-people contact and also linkages between our academic community. China has some of the best high-end labs and a lot of research funding. So we in Pakistani universities can really take advantage of this facility which is there, and Chinese are prepared to welcome us for research over there. Our researchers can benefit from them by having joint research projects. You know, China announced about 15 major labs that they will develop in other countries that will be part of Belt and Road Initiative. One of those labs is going to be here in Pakistan, and it's with the collaboration of Chinese Academy of Sciences and Higher Education Commission. China's Belt and Road Initiative is aimed at creating co-prosperity regions in their neighborhood, which means sharing their prosperity with others. They term CPEC as their flagship project. While investment in physical projects will directly contribute to economic development, our capacity to multiply will direct its effects on our economy and society depends on investment in education and skill development. Hence the requirement to bring the academic community of the two countries on a common platform for collaboration. With these factors in view, we established CPEC consortium of universities in 2017, and this was on the express desire of our Ministry of Planning, Development and Reforms. With the takeover of this government last year, the focus on socio-economic development has also been brought forward, and there is now a dedicated joint working group under which actually education and higher education sector fall. Initially, we had 9 Chinese and 10 Pakistani universities. That's totaling 19 members of the consortium. In 2018, the membership increased to 46, with 18 Chinese and 28 Pakistani universities joining the club. Today we have 58 universities represented here. We expect the membership to rise further. This growth in membership should not have been possible without the unstinted support of China Association of Higher Education and the interest of university leaders on both sides. Ladies and gentlemen, let me add here that Pakistani universities too are rising up the ranking ladder. In QS Asia ranking, 23 Pakistani universities are among the top 500 Asian universities. And out of them, NAST and LUMS are among the top 100. In these 2 days, our academics will have ample opportunities to network and discuss various possibilities of collaboration. After the inaugural session, we have 3 parallel sessions today. 3 subjects on which we have discussion are: number 1, developing research universities for lead role in national development. We will ask our Chinese partners to share with us their concept of double first, that's developing 100 world-class universities under Project 211, and China 9 under Project 985. China 9 is the equivalent of Ivy League in the US. And let me share with you, all 9 universities of China, which are the top, are part of this consortium. In addition, we have other leading universities of China. Second theme relates to teaching excellence for employability of graduates. This discussion will explore the possibility of moving towards outcome-based education and student-oriented services, especially at the undergraduate level. Third theme relates to research management to solve national and regional challenges. In this session, we will discuss research management for creating impact on our economy and society. In the afternoon tomorrow, we'll have 4 parallel sessions for focus group discussion on 4 important areas of CPEC. And all these areas are covered by joint working groups under our Ministry of Planning. These are infrastructure and connectivity, water and food security, energy security and special economic zones, and culture and social cooperation. In the afternoon tomorrow, we'll have the closing session in which we will also share progress on the last 2 years' collaborative efforts. While we have interactive sessions on important CPEC issues, we have also organized an exhibition in the corridors outside to join Islamabad Art Festival. Our Chinese friends have established 12 stalls, and our own art schools of 5 universities have their art pieces on display there. We will request our chief guest and the Chinese ambassador and the guest of honor to inaugurate the exhibition jointly after this session. It's important to note, especially for the Chinese friends, that the ministry which coordinates all projects and all efforts related to CPEC is the Planning Ministry. And we are lucky to have the Planning Minister here as our chief guest. So he has shown special interest in your activities. So at the end, I would like to thank the chief guest, our guest of honor, our special guest, our Chinese guest, and all the vice chancellors, faculty, staff, and students for joining us in this extremely important academic event. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.
尊敬的莫伊德·优素福主席，尊敬的姚
Your Excellency, the Federal Minister Khusro Bakhtyar, Lieutenant General Muhammad Asghar,
送爽，瓜果飘香。在这个寓意着收获和希望的季节里，我们相聚在巴基斯坦，隆重举行科学、艺术、技术博览会暨中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制第3次会议。这对于进一步加深中巴两国科学、艺术、技术领域的全方位的交流合作，尤其是进一步加深中巴高等教育领域的交流合作，具有重大而深远的意义。在此，我谨代表中国高等教育学会和杜玉波会长，向各位嘉宾致以亲切的问候，对本次会议的召开表示热烈的祝贺。今年
of harvest and hopes that brings us together, refreshing the breeze and smelling the fragrance of fruit. In this lovely season, we are all together in Pakistan to hold the opening ceremony of Science, Art and Technology Expo and the third exchange mechanism meeting of CPEC consortium of the universities, which is of great profound significance to the further deepening of all-round exchange and cooperation in the field of science, art and technology between China and Pakistan, especially in the field of higher education. Here, on the behalf of Chinese Association of Higher Education and Mr. Tu Yubo, the President of Chinese Association of Higher Education, I would like to extend my cordial greetings to all guests and express my warm congratulations on the opening of this meeting.
今年是中巴建交68周年，也是中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制运行取得积极的进展和不断深化的一年。借此机会，我想和各位嘉宾一起重温中巴两国人民的深厚友谊，共同分享中巴高等教育交流合作取得的重要进展，共同展望中巴高等教育合作的美好愿景。
This year marks the 68th anniversary of China-Pakistan diplomatic relations and is also a year of continued significant progress and deepening in the operation of the CPEC consortium of universities exchange mechanism. I would like to take this opportunity to review the deep friendship between our two people, sharing with you the great progress made in China-Pakistan cooperation in higher education and jointly look forward to its brighter vision.
女士们、先生们，俗话说，远亲不如近邻。中巴两国山水相连，传统友谊根深叶茂。我们是好邻居、好伙伴，形同手足，亲如一家。在中巴两国历届领导人和各界人士的精心培育下，中巴友谊结出了累累硕果。在过去的几十年里，中巴关系一直健康发展，稳如泰山。中国老百姓都亲切地把巴基斯坦称为“巴铁”，这是对中巴亲密关系的生动写照。中巴两国已经成为单杆相照的命运共同体。
Ladies and gentlemen, as an old saying goes, close neighbors are better than distant relatives. China and Pakistan are linked by mountains and rivers, and their traditional friendship is deeply rooted and flourishing. We are good neighbors and good partners. We share a bond of brotherhood and are close as one family. Thanks to the meticulous cultivation of successful leaders and people from all walks of life of China and Pakistan, the friendship between China and Pakistan has yielded fruitful results so far. In the past few decades, China-Pakistan relations have been developing healthily and is as steady as mountain climb. The Chinese people proudly call Pakistani brothers as Iron Brothers, which is a vivid portrayal of the close relationship between China and Pakistan. China and Pakistan have become a community with a shared future that treats each other with all sincerity.
今年10月9日，中国国家主席习近平在北京会见巴基斯坦总理伊姆兰汗时强调，中国和巴基斯坦是独一无二的全天候战略合作伙伴。无论国际和地区形势如何变化，中巴友谊始终牢不可破，坚如磐石。中巴合作始终保持旺盛生命力，不断地拓展深化。中方愿意同巴方一道努力，加强战略协作和务实合作，打造新时代更加紧密的中巴命运共同体。
On October 19th this year, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan in Beijing. He noted that the two countries are all-weather strategic cooperative partners, and no matter how the international and regional situation changes, the friendship between China and Pakistan has always been unbreakable and rock solid. China and Pakistan cooperation has always maintained strong vitality with continuous expansion. China is willing to work together with Pakistan to strengthen strategic coordination and practical cooperation to build a closer China-Pakistan community of common destiny in the new era.
伊姆兰汗总理也表示，中国是巴基斯坦全天候战略合作伙伴，巴中友谊深入人心。巴方期待继续同中国加强交往协调合作，坚定推进中巴经济走廊建设，共同打造“一带一路”成功典范。
Prime Minister Imran Khan said, hoping to continue strengthening exchanging coordination and cooperation with China and exchanging different achievements together, advancing the construction of the CPEC so as to make it as a paradigm of the Belt and Road Initiative.
我们深信，在两国领导人的引领下，中巴两国的传统友谊将进一步深化，两国在科学艺术、技术及教育领域的交流合作将进一步加强。对此，我们充满信心和期待。
We are totally convinced that under the guidance of the leaders of the two countries, we will further deepen the traditional friendship between the two countries and will further promote the exchanging and cooperation in the field of science and technology, also art and education, to strengthen the two countries together. And we are fully confident and possess high hopes.
女士们、先生们，一分耕耘一分收获。近年来，中巴高等教育合作高效务实，硕果累累。中巴两国在高等教育领域开展了全方位、深层次的交流合作。我们欣喜地看到，两国高校共同开展了人才培养、科学研究、师资交流等等工作，取得了丰硕的成果。两国高校之间人员往来、学术交流不断增多，形成了较为稳定的合作关系。
Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, no pains, no gains. In recent years, China-Pakistan cooperation in higher education has been highly efficient and practical and borne rich fruits. China and Pakistan have carried out all-round, in-depth exchanges and cooperation in the field of higher education.
我们欣喜地看到，中巴两国教育文化交流日益频繁。贵国到中国留学的学生正在日益增多，到2018年，巴基斯坦在华留学生超过2.8万人。中巴两国共同组织了巴基斯坦青年学生赴中国参加文化教育交流活动，零距离地体验中国文化，感受中国经济社会发展，有效地促进了中巴青少年文化交流。
First of all, we are pleased to see that the universities of the two countries have jointly carried out the work of talent cultivation, scientific research, and teacher exchange programs and achieved the fruitful results. Personnel trainings and academic exchanges between two two countries are at the rise, forming a stable cooperative relationship.
我们也欣喜地看到，中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制正在日益完善。2017年8月，中国高等教育学会会长、教育部原副部长杜玉波先生率团访问巴基斯坦，提出了中巴高校促进中巴经济走廊建设的一揽子计划建议。随后，中国高等教育学会和巴基斯坦高等教育委员会立即发起并且建立了中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制。这一机制的建立，标志着中巴两国高等教育交流合作迈出了新的步伐，对中巴两国友好关系的发展和中巴经济走廊的建设意义重大。
Meanwhile, we rejoice to see the exchange mechanism of the CPEC consortiums of the universities is being improved continuously. In August of 2017, Mr. Tu Yubo, the president of the Chinese Association of Higher Education, former deputy secretary of the party committee, and the vice minister of the Ministry of Education, led a delegation to visit Pakistan. During his visit, he put forward a package of plans for Chinese and Pakistani universities to promote the construction of the CPEC. Upon returning to China, the Chinese Association of Higher Education immediately initiated the establishment of the CPEC consortium of the universities with the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. The establishment of this mechanism marks a new step in exchange and cooperation of higher education between China and Pakistan. It is of great importance to the development of friendly relations between two countries and the construction of the China-Pakistan economic corridor.
截至目前，中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制已经走过3年的历程，中巴两国40余所高校参与推动。在中国举办了2次交流机制的工作会议。3年来，在如何把联盟成员高校建设成为中巴高端人才培养基地、协同创新基地、服务中巴经济走廊建设基地等方面提出了许多具有建设性的宝贵意见，合作交流取得了可喜的进展。
Till now, the exchange mechanism of the CPEC consortium of universities has gone through 3 years, attracted nearly 40 universities from China and Pakistan to become its members, and held 2 working meetings on the exchange mechanism in China. In the past 3 years, many constructive and valuable suggestions on how to build the member universities of the consortium into a high-end talent training base, a collaborative innovation base, and a construction base for China-Pakistan economic corridor have been put forward.
女士们、先生们，机遇永远是留给有准备的人。未来中巴高等教育合作前景广阔。当今世界正在经历100年未有之大变局，第4次工业革命方兴未艾，人工智能强势而来。中国政府提出了“一带一路”倡议，构建人类命运共同体的倡议。新时代赋予新使命，新时代赋予新机遇。
Ladies and gentlemen, chance favors only the prepared minds. There is a broad prospect for China-Pakistan cooperation in higher education in the future. Today's world is experiencing unprecedented changes in 100 years. The 4th industrial revolution is gaining momentum, and artificial intelligence is coming with great strength. The Chinese government has put forward Belt and Road Initiative and the initiative to build a community with a shared future for humanity. The new era has entrusted new missions and new opportunities.
我们期待通过这次会议能够进一步促进两国科学、艺术、技术领域的交流合作。我们期待两国高校积极地围绕“一带一路”建设，合作培养人才，更好地服务于中巴经济走廊和“一带一路”建设。
We expect that the meeting will further promote exchanges and cooperation in the fields of science, art, and technology between the two countries. We also expect that universities in the two countries will actively focus on the construction of Belt and Road and cooperate in training talents to better serve the construction of China-Pakistan economic corridor and Belt and Road initiative.
我们期待两国高校联合开展科学研究，实现重大科研突破，为人类社会发展做出积极贡献。 我们期待两国高校人员的互访常态化、学术交流常态化、互派学生常态化，实现高等教育资源共享。
Additionally, we look forward to the universities of the two countries jointly carrying out scientific research, making great scientific breakthroughs, and positively contributing to the development of human society. We look forward to the normalization of exchange visits, academic exchanges, and student exchanges between the two countries to realize the sharing of higher education resources.
我们也十分期待有更多的高校成为中巴经济走廊大学联盟的成员，共同把交流机制打造成中巴高等教育交流对话的有效平台，通过各成员高校卓有成效的工作，为两国经济社会发展、为构建人类命运共同体做出新的更大的贡献。
Last but not the least, we also anticipate that more universities become members of the CPEC consortium of universities to jointly make the exchange mechanism an effective platform for exchanges and dialogues between China and Pakistan's higher education system. The fruitful work of various universities will make new, greater contributions to the economic and social development of the two countries and building up of a community with a shared future of humanity.
最后我还要说，为了这次会议的顺利的召开，巴基斯坦的各位同仁，中国驻巴基斯坦大使馆的各位领导和各位同仁，中巴经济走廊大学联盟交流机制各成员高校的专家学者，交流机制秘书处的各位同事，都做了非常充分的前期筹备工作，付出了辛勤劳动。在
He is a renowned expert on international affairs and has been associated with several think tanks and universities around the world. I would like to call upon Dr. Muid Yusuf to please say a few words and share his views.
Reform Makhdum Khusro Bakhtyar Sahab, Excellency Yao Ying, General Mohammad Asghar Sahab, and the Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and Ni Hao. Gives me immense universities and policy think tanks doing policy research. So for me, this is far more familiar than the current position I hold, which is only 1 month old as a Pakistani official. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the age of global connectivity, and I think data is unequivocal that nations who are more connected than others are prospering far more. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the Belt and Road Initiative are essentially built around the idea of connectivity. They are also linked to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals on higher education and partnership to achieve this goal for education. I would tell you that we in Pakistan talk about the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor through various idioms and cliches. But it is truly reality that there isn't another relationship where there's so much unanimity between two countries on important regional and international issues. That makes us national allies, and this Pakistan-China Economic Corridor is the latest manifestation of this deep-rooted partnership. The CPEC consortium of universities can help in realizing the objectives of the project by preparing high-tech human resource and promoting civilizational harmony between our two countries. On this point of civilizational harmony, allow me to say a word. The China-Pakistan relationship has had the strongest of ties between the two states. But the reason I am most excited about CPEC and the Belt and Road Initiative in general is that this is the first time that our peoples, the two peoples, are truly getting to interact and learn about each other, the culture, the values, and the nation. And to me, if I were to leave our worthy organizers with one suggestion, it would be that the consortium should also invest time in researching on how to bring together and inform the two peoples of each other's work styles, cultures, and norms. Because that's one area that we haven't focused on as much in the past. And I'm sure with the kind of brain power that these universities and their faculty and students bring, this is one of the great value-added contributions that this consortium can make. Pakistan and China both have worked together and learned a lot from each other. For Pakistan, I think the challenge lies in learning from the Chinese model of rapid economic growth and the transformation of their society to create a developmental miracle. We need to study how research supports policy formulation and a development ecosystem. Academia, of course, is an important player in the concept of evidence-based policy making and informing policymakers on what works and what doesn't. And here, let me just add a factoid that I think the reason I'm standing here in front of you is that the government of Pakistan has just set up a new strategic policy planning cell in the Prime Minister's office, the idea of which is, quote, to become an intellectual hub for evidence-based policy making. So that's exactly my job. How do you bring in good research being done by universities, by think tanks around the country, and channel that to the ultimate decision makers? You know, I started off by telling you that I've spent my entire life in the field that all of you represent. One of the frustrations that one felt when sitting where you are today was that you do all this work and you never know who benefits from it. Where does it go? And today I'm standing in front of you on the other side, heading a setup set up precisely to get input from universities and think tanks and get that into the policy making sphere. So this consortium, as I see it, is a direct partner to what I and the government of Pakistan and the Prime Minister have authorized me to do. So I very much welcome if we could create some kind of liaison, some way of working together whereby your good work can inform policy making in our country. Let me just end by stressing that this two-day event, which is designed to take this consortium to a high level of cooperation, will be successful, I'm confident, just by looking at the kind of people sitting in this room. I hope this conference will serve as a milestone on the road to higher education ties between the two countries. And I wish the organizers and congratulate them at putting together such a wonderful show for this third conference of the consortium. Thank you very much.
It is under the framework of the CPEC. In fact, it is an important and integral part of the, and also the Chinese side. The CPEC has moved into a new stage, the new stage of further broadening and expanding that people-to-people contacts will be further strengthened. So a new joint working group of social cooperation has been formulated, and several initiatives have been decided. For example, that the Chinese government, starting from next year, will provide 20,000 scholarships for the next 3 years for the Pakistani students. The Chinese government will sponsor 100 smart classrooms for Pakistani universities. The Chinese government will sponsor 10 agricultural research centers in the agricultural institutions in Pakistan. And right now, we have this very important academic meeting among the universities. The CPEC is a platform for the peoples of China and Pakistan to connect each other. The CPEC is a platform, I think, for the cooperation basically that coming from the society, coming from the peoples. The consortium itself is significant because the society, the universities, institutions have been mobilized, have been structured in the CPEC cooperation. The next stage of the CPEC will be more people-oriented, and the youth, students, academic institutions, in particular universities, will be the main players of the Sino-Pac cooperation. The next stage of the CPEC will be more technology-driven, and you are the brains, you are the technology providers. So definitely, your contribution to the CPEC construction will be very, very important and significant. The next stage of the CPEC will be futuristic, and it will engage the next generations, the young generations of both China and Pakistan. Only after mobilization of the peoples, of the societies, of the universities, can we see a new stage of the CPEC that will be really beneficial, that will be really contributing to the nation, to the society, to the countries of China and Pakistan. So finally, I would like to thank the HEC of Pakistan and also China Associations of Higher Education, and also appreciate the participation of the universities, both from Pakistan and China, for your enthusiasm, for your devotion, and for your dedication for this friendship, for this cooperation, and for this futuristic project of CPEC. Thank you.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. The Honorable Ambassador, His Excellency Yao Zheng, President of Vice President China Association of Higher Education, Mr. Gon Pijon, my old friend Mr. Moid Yusuf, Vice Chancellors, Rectors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and Nehao. The speakers before me have expanded on where we stand today in terms of the collaboration which we have under the banner of CPEC. As Ambassador Yao Zheng was telling you, that we have, with the consensus of the leadership of China and Pakistan, broadened the new phase of CPEC to include industrial cooperation, agriculture cooperation, socio-economic development cooperation, plus the existing two, infrastructure and energy. And under socio-economic development cooperation working group, we have education and people-to-people contact as one of the major facets of that socio-economic development working group. And let me also express gratitude to our Iron Brothers China for provision of $1 billion worth of grant for all the initiatives to be undertaken under socio-economic development for next 3 years, in which the ambassador highlighted the 20,000 scholarships, smart schools, and smart schools will definitely provide the ability to people living in remote areas of Pakistan to be connected to the latest demands of education needs. While we progress in this direction, and I must acknowledge the efforts made by Higher Education Commission on both sides, and while I was cruising through the list of universities, I was very heartened to see a very broad spectrum of universities for joint collaboration. Industrial cooperation. I think in the near future, the challenges Pakistan has, today we are into a structural reform agenda along with the IMF to correct our structural imbalances in our economy and place it and have a foundation whereby sustainable economic growth can take place. Just to give you an example, today's China's global trade is more than $400,000 billion, $4 trillion. And we, while confronting this huge current account deficit which doesn't allow us for a sustainable growth, our total global trade is $85 billion. $25 billion worth of exports and less than 60% imports. Hence, we always, after the cycle of 3 to 4 years, come to a point whereby the import-driven, consumption-driven economy becomes unsustainable, so a correction takes place in terms of dollar-rupee parity, in terms of slowing down of the economy, in terms of import, curtailment of imports. So when I looked at why I am expanding on industrial cooperation, is because while the world is gearing towards the fourth industrial revolution, but there is still, in the short term, a lot of scope for our manufacturing base to improve, to meet the challenges of to meet our demographic challenges. At the centenary of our independence, 2047, another almost 28 years down the road, we are looking at a population of 400 million. So unless and until we don't provide that requisite economic infrastructure, the model of economic growth, of prosperity which we aim for, will surely elude us. So in industrial cooperation, though this is the third meeting of the consortium, I think it needs to be further granularized. In your universities from Pakistan side, I saw the names of LUMS, I saw the name of IBA. These are one of the few institutions, I'm not saying the others obviously have equal capacity, but when we talk of industrial cooperation, and on 5th of June on the JCC, we added new sectors of cooperation in the next 10 years, in which iron and steel. Today Pakistan imports $4 billion worth of steel every year. Mines and minerals, huge potential of natural resources in Pakistan. China imports 70% of its copper needs, and Pakistan sits at one of the second largest copper reservoirs in the world. Oil and gas, our need for petrochemicals, our need for oil refineries, our need for getting the much needed gas for growth in Punjab and in Pakistan, the pipelines, textiles, auto sector. For this, what I would propose is that institutions like LAMS and IBA to do this granular studies on these sectors which have been identified with an interface of the private sector, because going forward, private sector from both countries would be leading the initiative of industrial cooperation. And then, as my friend Mr. Mohit Pizada said, how do we filter in those policies into meaningful, those studies into coming into our policy making bodies? I assure you that from the Ministry of Planning and with the Ministry of Industries and Production and all other stakeholders, if pragmatic policies, a diagnostic study of each sector is done, that will unleash the true potential of industrial cooperation. Another marvel at which we are proud of our iron brothers is their ability to harness time as a resource for their economic and societal growth. That is something, unfortunately, as over the years we have not kept up with the requisite fiscal spending for development of our human capital. And because of that, most of our government structures, governance models, government bureaucracy has not been keeping up with the pace. So while we look into this consortium of universities, I would also urge to reflect upon the need to learn from best practices of governance. So perhaps there should be a very focused attention to public administration and the civil service academies in Pakistan, the way the future generation of our government officials would be implementing and having a valuable input in the policies which they are supposed to implement. But since this government has come into in office, we realized that though agriculture, natural resources, small and medium-term enterprises, processing, manufacturing is what is needed, but at the same time we cannot afford to not look at the future of and provide those enablers for the fourth industrial revolution. So we put in place, under our public sector development plan, an initiative of knowledge economy. So if you couple the allocations made for higher education and allocations made for knowledge economy, they surely surpass the past allocations for higher education. And we are very grateful for the 20,000 scholarships from our Chinese government. We've also put in and allocated almost a resource of 10 billion rupees worth of scholarships in the higher education. And they will be merit-based. While through another program of SRs, which is around, we put in 6 billion scholarships, which will be need-based. So the disadvantaged students who, because of their financial constraints, should not be left behind in this trajectory for gaining that much needed high-tech knowledge. And when I say high-tech or digital, while I was sitting on the stage, half of the audience was busy at their phones. So smartphones are just this very fact that how important that has become. And I had the privilege of going to Huawei Research and Development Center, which really shows you what is stored ahead for the next generations. Today, Huawei spends around $18 billion per year on research and development, out of their total, I think, profits of around 100 billion. And in growing years, they're going to take it up to 40% of their profits will be channeled to research and development. If they're earning 100 billion, they're spending 40 billion in research and development. Today, China's annual budget for research and development is $350 billion, which is at par, if not less, than any other leaders, global leaders. And when you talk of smartphones, when you talk of data, artificial intelligence, data becomes most important. As Mr. Moid also referred to, data is the new currency of the future. And artificial intelligence, data for artificial intelligence is like fuel to a car. Artificial intelligence is driven by data. And China, with its demographics, and the way they have focused on data-driven policy making and data being that tool, I don't see any second best in that field. So artificial intelligence collaboration and strengthening of our data collection agencies, one being the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. Moid, in your we will have a separate discussion on that, but that should be part of your mandate. So we are focusing on that, developing a repository of national data collection, which will not only enable us for the much needed economic growth, will also improve our governance structures all the way down to districts and tehsils. Lastly, I would also like to share that while we have collaboration under CPEC and the consortium of universities, we're also focusing on collaboration in science and technology. The Ministry of Science and Technology in Pakistan and the Chinese Academy of Science and Technology have a protocol under which we are setting up a few centers of excellence. And lastly, I know the Vice President of Chinese higher education sitting here comes with a very rich and illustrious career in agriculture. And today I was informed, in fact I know that there's a joint venture between Agriculture University in China and Las Vegas. But I was also urged to look into the Islamabad Agriculture University. They also have a fairly well set up organization. So in the end, what I think is needed is to synergize all these efforts, make them more granularized, sector-wise, public administration, agriculture, industrial cooperation, and most importantly, I see in the audience Lieutenant General Naveed, Director of NUS, setting up of science and technology parks. I think NUST is one of leading institutions which could incubate such centers of excellence along with others. So I think this, and then the need for artificial data development in Pakistan. So it's fairly a very broad-based cooperation under the banner of higher education, but it needs to be synergized. So A, we avoid overlaps. B, consortiums or meetings don't turn out to be just talk shows. And C, how whatever the policies which filter through these very illustrious alumni and very illustrious leaders of our academia sitting in the audience is actually translated into policy making. So we had initially, what I'm thinking of is that we will structure a project management unit or something on the same footing in the planning ministry. So the science and technology, higher education, Bureau of Statistics, agriculture, industrial cooperation, all of them can be synergized, but this cooperation in higher education becomes more meaningful, and we're able to harness the important resource of time, because Pakistan doesn't have the luxury of time. If you look at our economic indicators, even in South Asia, it's fairly reflective of the challenge ahead of us. But with that resolve, I believe our economic growth is imperative as our national security. So with that in mind, I assure you that the government is very cognizant of the great work done under CPEC consortium of universities, and you will find Ministry of Planning and Development very forthcoming for this initiative. And in the end, today, just to give you an example that how broad-based CPEC has become. And we are here today on the CPEC consortium of universities at 12:30, and after that we are doing an expo on art and culture. At 12:30 I have a meeting to finalize the rules and appointments in CPEC authority, which we have constructed to get the much needed focused pace, and a very dedicated authority, well manned. And I will request some of people in the audience to look at the kind of human resource we need for that authority, and perhaps you could please suggest one of your best brains to come and help in this exercise of nation building. Then at 3 o'clock, myself and the ambassador would be in Tharkot Haveli inaugurating an infrastructure project. And this month, earlier we were in Gawada, just inaugurated a 300 megawatt energy project along with Vocational Training Institute, hospitals and airports. So the spans of CPEC is truly increasing. Hence we need to gear up the implementation speed. So on that note, I look forward to much more interaction. And please find my office doors always open to anything related to CPEC or for national needs. Thank you all. Good afternoon.
Guests, ladies and gentlemen, with your participation, we assure that this conference will be a memorable, highly productive, educational, and not to be missed event.